Here we are again in my personal movie hell. Alright, so this is a Phantom movie most fans know. The 1989 film starring Robert Englund, aka Freddy Krueger. Now, here I come with my usual spoiler alert. This was actually the first non-musical Phantom film that I ever watched. And therefore, I was not expecting the load of absolute bullshit that was about to unfold in front of my eyes. And by bullshit, I mean the bloody, gory horror fest with a WTF plot that they turned this story into. Again, if you want to give people cheap scares, there are hundreds of other stories to choose from. Reducing Phantom to some gore and jump scares doesn't help anyone, and it certainly doesn't do justice to the author. Phantom is so much more complicated than that. However, I've actually had a lot of people come at me about my opinions on this film, so if you're a fan, you're not alone. So, basically, we start out in present day. Christine, played by Jill Scholine, is an aspiring Broadway actress in New York. She finds this old-ass piece of music tucked away in a library written by our dude Eric. She sings this piece for an audition for some show, but in the middle of it gets knocked in the face by a sandbag so hard that it knocks her into a previous time period. She wakes up in 1885, the wrong year, in London, and just goes about her business like nothing happened. Doesn't notice that the world has regressed a century, since this was filmed in the 80s. Of course, this means we are now in the time period where our main man is stalking the grounds, wreaking havoc, and teaching little aspiring sopranos in their dressing rooms. So why don't we have a little discussion about Eric? As I said, he is played by world-class actor Robert Englund. Again, he is probably best known for his role as Freddy Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Problem is, something tells me they just recycled the prosthetics from Nightmare on Elm for the Phantom Deformity because they look exactly the same. Not only this, but I'm starting to think I know where Argento got his no mask Eric idea from, because for the most part, this Eric doesn't wear one either. No, instead of a mask, he cuts people's skin off and sews it onto his own face. Our usual Joseph Bouquet death contributes to Eric's self-skin grafting, after which he leaves the poor motherfucker hanging skinless in Carlotta's closet, still alive. Carlotta's screaming at the sight is what causes her to lose her voice and thus prompt Christine to be considered for the role of Marguerite. Now, Faust. We get to the performance, and this would actually be the first time that I was ever exposed to Faust. And let me tell you firsthand, I have realized that the Jewel song is not something you should ever perform with full acting choices, anyway, out of context. All I saw was a girl dancing around on stage singing very overdramatically, like cringy, to herself in a mirror, and my 14-year-old uneducated self was just sitting there like, what in the actual fuck am I watching? I since have gained a much greater sense of what is happening during that scene, and now it's actually one of my favorite go-to arias. But, the other thing, the acting. Particularly when there's singing going on, there's a lot of unnecessary movement, head movement, and facial expressions happening, where I'm just kind of like, we could have let off the gas a little there. Let me also say that whoever did the voiceover for Christine, singing-wise, I've got to agree with the asshole journalist that critiqued Christine, saying she couldn't sustain the role of Marguerite. Like, potential, definitely there, but not ready for a lead. Moving on, I honestly lost track of Eric's body count in this film. Even Carlotta gets hers in this one, but with that god-awful acting, I dare say it was a mercy through the film. Full-blown murderous psycho. Once more, I find myself saying, Christine, I think Richard, who is such a forgettable character in this film that he's hardly worth mentioning, probably really is the better option here. And thankfully, unlike the Argento, Christine in this one actually recognizes this. Because not only is Eric a murderous psycho with no skin, dentures, and with an affinity for prostitutes who vaguely resemble Christine, he also sold his soul to the devil. We have a flashback scene where this guy, yes, John Gavin, I don't know how you pronounce his name. From Ewok to Satan. Not kidding. He was in Star Wars as an Ewok. He waltzes in, and exchange for his soul, the devil will make the world love Eric for his music. Then, of course, he has to be like, psych! That's all they're gonna love you for! And turns him into Freddy Krueger. He's inside your mind no matter what movie he's in. So anyway, after some kidnapping, attempted rape, and an epiphany from Christine, she tears up his music, realizing that this is how you kill Eric. She wakes up back in present day, and the composer for the show has decided she has gotten the role. As you can imagine, after this composer obviously starts to hit on Christine, we see the rest coming like a speeding freight train. He runs off to freshen up, or whatever, and Miss Christine, true to her character, does some snooping. When she suddenly discovers the music for this show, composed by this dude she was about to go out with, is Don Juan Triumphant. Shocker. It starts blaring on the super 80s mixing room equipment, and Eric, who is upstairs changing his face, hears. So more fight scenes occur between the two of them. Christine stabs him, and yet again she destroys what I suppose is a master copy of his music. The literal tagline for this movie, straight from the cover, is the only way to kill him is to destroy his music. Production company literally giving away their own spoilers. Oh boy, you guys. I give it 3 stars out of 10. Did better than the Argento film, but honestly, that's not hard to beat out. It's not exactly an accomplishment. It's time to end your film career if whatever you directed ended up being worse than Cannibal Ratman. All right, so I hope you all enjoyed what I guess was actually a rather long-awaited review. Looking at you, Marta. And next week, you should be able to look forward to my first collab with a fellow fan, a friend that I have known since high school. Get ready for some incredible artwork on her part and some just hilarity on mine, as we attempt to draw our envisionment of LaRue's description of Eric. Yet again, if there are any Phantom films, novels, anything of the sort that you're dying for me to review, leave it in the comments. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as support me on Patreon. Patreon supporters get a shout out at the end of every video and are eligible for special prizes. All of those links are in the description below. Stay fantastic with a PH and remember to keep your hand at the level of your eyes.